It's about, I really believe that storytelling is a very powerful tool in marketing and it's very seldom used. I think there's a difference between being a good writer and then being a good communicator. And a lot of market research. So my rule is very simple that I do 80% market research and 20% writing. So if I'm writing for myself, I know what my audience is, what keeps them up at night, what's not getting them the sales that they want. If I'm writing for my clients, it's the same, who is their target audience? What is their niche? How do they talk? What is keeping them up at night? And I think that's the switch that we need to make when we are creating content, that we're not just writing fancy words, but we are writing the words. So I think that's the difference between just writing posts or just creating reels to then creating content that truly your audiences feels like that's for me. I think storytelling is what comes really in here, where you can tell stories, but not the stories that you want to tell, but the stories that your audience wants to hear from you. So, I think everybody in 2026 knows that storytelling and being vulnerable and being authentic really sells, where, you bring in a story because you feel that the story will connect, and then it's polished because you don't want to show the most painful part of the story. You don't want to show which was where you felt the most miserable or you had this fear, and then, you try to like polish the corners, the edgy parts of the story, and then just quickly go to the lesson that's learned out of that story and then post it. I think true authenticity is when you tell a story with that fear in that moment that you felt like, that's what people connect with. But then if you just write something which is so raw and you really truly talk about the most darkest time or the most, when you would at the lowest, because even if you see Hollywood movies or you see any kind of great content, you would see how a story starts in the most vulnerable moment. The biggest thumb of rule when I write stories is that start in the moment, and I'll keep repeating it. A lot of times, start with the you, which is so important when you are writing online. Make it about the person you're writing to. Have you ever been stuck in the elevator? And that feeling of being, so scared to be stuck and so claustrophobic. It's so relatable that the minute you say you and have you ever been stuck in it, everybody's like, that's me. And then just start from the moment and then build on it. And of course, there's so much that has happened in our life. So start in that moment.